depressed, maybe that's okay for a while. Typical advice is to just get out of it. Just get over it. Get on with your life. Be happy. To me, as long as it's not serious clinical depression, it's okay to go through those periods, as long as you recognize what they are and just realize, you know what, I made a lot of progress or what have you, and now I'm not, or I'm not making the kind of progress I want to, but that's reality. But I'm going to be depressed for a little bit, maybe a day or two, or who knows what. Maybe you just broke up with a girlfriend or boyfriend. You know, that's real stuff, and it's devastating to our values, and it's okay for that to be reflected in our emotions, so that we can reset over time, so that we can feel, maybe after a day or maybe after a week or maybe after a month or what have you, that our expectations go from here down to here. And also we purge ourselves over time by experiencing our negative emotions. There's no faster way to get rid of an emotion than to feel it fully. And then once it's listened to, it tends to say, okay, well, thank you for acknowledging me. Now I'll go on my way. When it's more serious, it doesn't happen just like that. But there is that tendency that the more you listen to it and experience it fully, the more the emotion feels listened to, acknowledged, and says, okay, you understand. Now I don't have to raise such a fuss. Feeling what you feel instead of denying it, you feel much better afterwards. Another good thing about depression is energy conservation. Depression is really a chance for us to totally focus on ourselves for a while, sort of our soul therapy and our spiritual needs, our energy needs, our emotional core, and a chance to hide under the blankets for a while and let ourselves be okay with that. It's really, really important to rehabilitate ourselves, recuperate. Life is really hard. Now, there's things you got to do in life. You got to take care of your kids, even if you're depressed. You got to pay the rent. But when possible, you also need to let yourself recognize that you're overwhelmed. You've got to let yourself be depressed when you can. Depression helps us hit a reset button. You rest, you recharge. Let yourself, when you can, fall into depression and be depressed, whatever form that takes, as long as you're not doing permanent damage to yourself. Basically letting yourself do what we normally do when we're depressed, which is nothing. We get overwhelmed, especially from expectations. So at some point, there will be a disconnect, a frustration between your expectations and reality. One of the ways of managing our expectations, our energy, is depression. Ideally, we would never go there because we'd be managing things just perfectly. We'd have equanimity all the time, but that's not reality. Particularly if you're out there doing stuff, challenging stuff, there's gonna be upset, and there's gonna be times when you want to do so much and you just get overwhelmed. Depression is telling you you need to stop and get back down to, hey, you know what? You're alive, okay? And that's enough. You get back to a state of gratitude, a state of appreciation again. When your expectations drop really low, you start to feel like anything that you do is a positive. And any good thing that you previously ignored, you now appreciate. You get out of bed, you feel the breeze in your hair, and you're like, you know what? I'm proud of myself that I got out of bed. Whereas before you would have been like, well, of course you got to get out of bed. But now you're like, I got out of bed. I feel good about that, actually. And oh, there's a breeze in my hair. I can hear birds in the trees, you know. That's kind of nice. Whereas before you wouldn't have been cognizant of that at all. We make forays back into life, and we can then start to become excited again about living. There's a depth of emotion that we don't usually experience in our day-to-day life, and that is part of what depression does for us. Depression helps us encounter that deeper, more profound experience of life that we normally don't get to touch. And depression, in a weird way, it lets you touch again profundity, feeling profound about things. Depression gives you an excuse, in a way, which we shouldn't need, but we often do, to submerge ourselves into something more profound and deeper. There is a profundity to our darkest feelings that's unlike the profundity of happiness. Now, I'm all for happiness. I love happiness. I don't encourage trying to feel horrible, but I also don't encourage trying to artificially escape feeling horrible too soon. It's important to fully feel what you feel. By going through negative emotions, feeling them fully, giving yourself compassionate permission to feel negativity fully, you're establishing that you're friends with yourself, that you are there for yourself, that you take care of yourself. And that's a link and a bond of self-trust that stays with you. If we don't do that, we become a fake person who's just putting on a smile all the time. And we don't trust ourselves, and we don't even particularly like ourselves deep down. I hope your life is going well, and I hope you're able to appreciate it. I hope there's more happiness than not happiness. But if you are depressed, I would advise you to give yourself a break and let yourself be depressed. Let yourself be honest with yourself when you can. Again, be careful. If you truly feel like you're clinically depressed, please see a therapist or at least talk to your doctor. You're worth it. You deserve it. And it's okay to give yourself some time, when possible, to feel the lowest depths and to compassionately acknowledge those depths. It's important to truly give yourself a long break into rediscovering gratitude and what's deeply important to you